Hello friends, my name is Type 1 and I'd like to welcome you back to our World Building Wednesday series. A series in which we dive into the world I've been working on for nearly 15 years. Last episode, we began talking about civilizations, essentially. The main cities, the main populous locales within my world. We started off with the Kaolan city. I'm still not entirely sure what to call this. It's like a tri-city kind of thing. It's 3 different cities all linked into one thing, with Sol, Polaris, and Octantis here. But that's what we had here. We discussed this, how they have different kinds of exports from each area, and how it all worked, and where it is. And now, we're going to do that with what's probably the most important location in the entire series here, being New Eden. Now, this used to be just Eden. I used to call it just Eden, like E-D-E-N, not J-U-S-T-E-D-E-N, if that makes sense. It was Eden. But I wanted to change the name because I feel like New Eden adds a little more to it than what it would have been otherwise. I feel like it gives it a bit of flair that it wouldn't have had otherwise. Now, before we actually discuss the city itself, I need to discuss with you the... Here, you know what? We can put this right here. Definitions. Look at us. So, we are going to be talking about geopunk, a punk genre of our own creation. So, when you think about a punk genre, the two that probably come most to mind are gonna be steampunk or cyberpunk. Probably cyberpunk. That's been a lot more prevalent this decade than steampunk has been. Steampunk was very big in the 2010s, but now in the 2020s, cyberpunk has had a huge, just like absolute massive rise in popularity and notoriety. And there's other punks out there, lesser known ones. There's like, biopunk, solar punk. There's a bunch of them, but for the most part, a majority of them are pretty niche. Geopunk is my own take on a punk genre. I could not find one that was already called this. It may already exist, but this is my ideal of it. Now, steampunk usually centers on themes of like colonialism and industrialism, while cyberpunk is kind of... How do you describe cyberpunk? It's kind of... Oh, what's the word? I can't remember my words. I call myself a writer. I can't remember the words that I want here. It's dystopian. It's dystopian, and usually it's like a techno-dystopia. And a lot of the stories will revolve around either how one survives in a techno-dystopia or a rebellion in a techno-dystopia kind of thing. Now, when I go into the definitions for this particular genre, the political themes and ideologies that stem from this, I need each and every one of you to sit here and understand I am not a proponent of fascism. I know this is a very hard turn from what we were just discussing, but I need you to understand I am extremely anti-fascist. I have been for my entire life, and I suspect I will be for the rest of my life. As I'm sure many of my ancestors said, and I say now, the only good Nazi is a dead one. And I support that fully. However, for the purpose of storytelling, especially in a story where I want to emphasize the importance of individuality and self-discovery, I feel like using fascist themes, or not fascist themes, themes of fascism to be overcome in the story is important here. Especially in the modern climate we're now facing. At least those of us in, the United States. So I just need that to make that very, very clear. Because I know a lot of people on the internet, the reading comprehension these days has kind of gone into the drain. The whole pancakes versus waffles tweet, I see it play out like online every single day now. It used to be just like every once in a while, then it was every few weeks, and then now it's like every day. So I need you to understand, I do not side with those kinds of people. I just need to make that clear. So even though I will be attempting to depict a fascist government to an extent, it will, things will escalate as the story goes on. As the story does, I'll be attempting to show that. I need to make it clear, and I hope I can make it even clearer in my writing itself, that it is bad. Fascism is bad. There is not an upside to a society like that. Because Geopunk, while it may be my creation, it holds dark themes that I'm not for. I invented it to go along with my story as themes to be overcome, as adversity for my story. So Geopunk is defined by two major ideals. Well, let's not say ideals. Let's say... Hold on 1 second while I look something up. Oh, no, I don't. Ooh, you go back there, Internet Browser. Dragging my icons all over on accident. It's defined by two major ideas. The aesthetic of brutalism pushed to its absolute extreme, and the idea of needing to fit in and have a useful place in society. Geopunk cities would be powered by the Earth itself, whether through magma, the planet's core. Oh, hold on, we'll change this. Geothermal energy. Let's be a little more professional here. This energy, the planet's core, or a fictional Earth-derived material. So buildings, structures, and roads would be designed as sleek, featureless, and efficient. No, hold on. And as efficient as possible, with little to no room for individuality or creativity. A geopunk society would favor a more fascistic government, total overreach that dictates a person's worth based on their usefulness in society. So that's what we're working with. It is a hybrid of brutalism, the architectural style, which we see more and more of every day. I hate it. It's so ugly. And then it's like brutalism meets fascism, which, like, let's be real, these two things are made hand in hand. So it comes together. The geo part comes because the energy, that's where the energy comes from. That's where the power comes from. So when you think about steampunk, it's called that because it's a society that's run off steam. That's its main fuel source. Cyberpunk, its power comes from technology. Solarpunk, it's all about the sun and nature kind of thing. This one, it's earth-based. It is strict, rigid, to a fault, quite literally. Puns aside, that is what geopunk is for me. That is my definition of this punk genre that I have invented here. So now I wonder, hold on, let's see. Because I'm curious, I think I can make this like... Okay, so like, what if I paste this here? What if I do a paste here? What does that do? No, hold on. Okay, so I'm trying to see, because I think there's a way I can link these together and make it kind of like a wiki. Let's see. Insert. Add link. Uh-oh. Let me highlight that again. Click add link. Frick. Forgive me, computer. The technical stuff is not my forte. I'm much more of a hardware fella than a software. Okay. Bad. Okay, hold on. We can fix this. Okay, type. What? Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. So that's clear. So we're just gonna ignore that for now. Again, I think I said last time that I made a video that I was gonna be like, yeah, I need to look into some tutorials for Obsidian. I still need to do that, because I think it'd be really cool if we could link definitions back over here. I think that'd be pretty sick. So I'll try and remember to look into that by next time we make a video. If I don't remember, please do not crucify me on the internet. I am only human. And also, I am a very busy person, unfortunately, as much as I hate it. Such is life. So, New Eden. New Eden is... My brain is frying. The evolution of the original settlement made by the Edenite people after their exodus from Lu during the vampire threat. That's what we're calling it, right? I always forget because my brain is tiny as like a pecan. Like a pecan. Yep, that's what we're calling it. Okay, cool. Just want to double check. Very important. Always double check your work. Keep everything tied together and tied down. And to make sure I was actually recording, because if I was 14 minutes into this without recording, dude, I would have actually lost my mind. The city now exists as a 3-ring structure. A geopunk. Hey, there's that word. There's that word I made up. A geopunk theme. A majority of the power in the city is derived from the natural hot springs and the magma found beneath, as well as massive Arcana crystal that pierces the Mobian strip. What else? What else? What else is important here? While being the most technologically advanced people on the planet, New Eden also features some of the most primitive aspects, namely in arts and government. The city of New Eden is ruled over by a matriarch and her council. See, I say matriarch because I don't quite want to say queen, because that feels a bit too medieval. It's a very modern city for the most part. I mean, like, technology wise, but queen just doesn't feel quite right. But I like the sound of matriarch. It's like the ruler is someone who sees the city as her family. This is her child she's taking care of. Her, give it a motherly feel, because this is your supreme ruler who you're supposed to love. It's matriarch sounds warm and inviting and motherly, regardless of the actual qualities of the person, who the matriarch in our story is not exactly those qualities. But I think that's an interesting point to go with, an interesting title to go with. That's a little more flexible, narratively speaking, than just queen. Decisions regarding law enforcement, infrastructure, and even science. I was saying science and development. Okay, that feels better. I just keep correcting that until I get quite the right phrase. I'm trying to think of what else would be important here. Okay, so in the center ring, the highest that feels repetitive. The central ring of New Eden is considered the seat of power. It is where the government and their families reside, as well as many of the wealthy of New Eden. The middle ring is a much more common area. Common in this, not meaning it's like easily found, but it's normal. Basically, it's normal. City offering residential housing. What would you call it? commerce, and even red light districts. Though the latter being a very regulated secret. So, the top ring is where all the rich and powerful people are. The middle ring is where basically all the regular people are, all the shops, the living areas, schools, police, blah, blah, blah. And there's even a red light district. But due to the political nature of the city, obviously something like a red light district would be extremely frowned upon. So it is a very taboo and extremely closely guarded secret. Maybe a bit of an open secret, but not quite enough to be openly shut down, but enough that they make a business out of it, essentially. The outer ring of New Eden is the poorest and most dilapidated. The three, featuring the rundown ruins of Old Eden, as well as many shanty towns that have been, what's the word? Been established since alongside the ruins. While the city boasts the largest population of Edenites on Penrose, there are also a great many Kaolans in the city. Living near the city. The outer ring is considered Kaolan territory, as it is the place any unwanted person or persons is sent to. So, there's racism, of course, but I mean, it's kind of hard to not entirely understand it. Like, obviously, we know as readers and the writer that the Kaolans are not vampires. They are an entirely different thing. They were just derived from vampires. In fact, arguably, their history is far more tragic than almost anyone else's outside maybe just like regular old humans. But Edenites do not particularly like Kaolans due to the fact that they are derived from vampires, and as such there are many tensions between the two races of the world here. And the Kaolans are not treated nicely in New Eden. They are still allowed to live within its walls, just in the really, really crappy part of the walls. They are not generally welcome to niceties or luxuries because of how they were born, essentially. Like, you gotta imagine, racism in our world is born from irrational fears and hatred. Can you imagine how much worse it would be if you had a way to genuinely rationalize your fear and hatred? Because, obviously, Kaolans aren't the same thing, but knowing that they came from something so terrifying, I mean, yeah, you can't really justify hating Kaolans, but, you know, you're always going to have those kinds of people who are going to be like, yeah, but what if? So, I mean, to a degree, it's still irrational fear and hatred, but You know, there's a much more direct line to justifying it in the mind of a crazy person, which is very sad. But unfortunately, the story that I want to write is not a happy-go-lucky, everything is kind and good in the world type of fantasy. It's a world that needs work. Both quite literally, that's why this series exists, but also, you know, morally. But that's kind of the point of the story, is the characters want to make things better. I mean, I want to write a story of good people trying to do good things. I think that's an important kind of story to tell. I think stories about, you know, hope and heroes is important. But I think, with that, I think New Eden is relatively established here. And I think until next time, friends, that we will be satisfied here. I don't quite know what we'll be talking about next time. I'll have to think on it. But until then, y'all have a good morning, evening, afternoon, and night. Bye-bye.